Yasmin Alaga, a law student at Northwestern University and a Palestinian American. She has family members still in Gaza and is trying to get them out. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
So talk about how many family members you have there that are American citizens that are trying to get out.
Of course. So I come from one of the biggest families in Gaza. My family has over 9,000 people in it.
Wow.
And so far, 120 of us have been killed. The family that I'm trying to evacuate is two American citizen brothers. They were born and raised in the U.S. for the first parts of their lives, and they moved back to Gaza with their family. So now there's 8 total family members that are trying to evacuate.
And what has the challenge been for you in trying to coordinate with the American government to do just that?
So the American government has fully approved their evacuation, but in terms of actual advocacy to have them actually leave Gaza, there's been almost no movement on that front. So the boys' names have not ended up on the exit list yet, and if you're not on the exit list, there's no evacuation. Some of the members of the family have appeared on the evacuation list, but the U.S. has essentially said that in terms of actually getting Hashim and Burak's names, who are the American citizens, on the evacuation list, there's pretty much nothing that it can do, and it's leaving the lives of these 2 American boys in the hands of the Israeli and Egyptian governments.
So are they still trying to get to that border crossing, and do they make that journey multiple times and then they get there and they find out, even though they're approved, their name's not on the list? Is that what's happening?
Yeah, so they have been to the border 4 times at this point, and the road to the border is very dangerous, especially from where they're at. So there have been times where there have been airstrikes at the border. There was a time where there was a shootout at the border, and every time, they risk their lives to go and try to get out, to seek safety for themselves, to come to the United States and be with us here safely, and they've been rejected every single time.
Does Hamas try to help these people, or are your relatives on their own?
So Hamas has nothing to do with the border exits. So the evacuations are fully in the hands of Egypt, Israel, and the United States.
But I mean, helping them while they're waiting and in danger. Do they get help? Do they get food? Does Hamas interfere? Do they help, or are they just not part of the equation at all?
At this point, I don't believe that Hamas is part of the equation. From my understanding and from everything that the United States has told me, it is solely in the hands of Israel, Egypt, and the United States.
So have you reached out to representatives here in this country to find out what can be done?
Oh, yeah. I have reached out to all of my congressional officials. I've requested meetings. I've been denied. I've been told that it's a really busy time for my elected officials. And I specifically told them, I really hope that the elected officials who I voted for take any kind of interest in the importance of my family's safety, this American family. And I've still continued to be rejected for meetings with my senators. I have not received any word from the White House. I've reached out to the White House. I've reached out to, people within the State Department, and still no word.
Do you have any personal feelings about the latest ceasefire offer that we mentioned from Israel in return for hostages?
I really hope that it means that more Palestinians can find safety. I think that what Palestinians have been undergoing is, really, close to what people would call a genocide. And I sincerely hope that it means safety for Palestinians after they've just undergone 3 months of slaughter.
You have joined a lawsuit against Secretary Blinken and the Defense Secretary as well. Talk about that.
Yeah, so the lawsuit is essentially about an equal protection issue. So in the first week after October 7th, Israeli Americans were flown out by the United States on U.S. charter flights. They were brought back to the United States on cruise ships. And Palestinian Americans have been totally left for dead. The United States government has said many times, reiterated, there is nothing we can do for Palestinian Americans. We don't have an on-the-ground presence in Gaza. There's nothing we can do. I don't believe that. I have seen what the United States government has done for Israeli Americans, and we're asking the U.S. government to act in the same way for Palestinian Americans.
I understand your anger and frustration towards Israel. Do you have any anger and frustration towards Hamas?
I wouldn't say that I have anger and frustration towards Israel at this point. I have my own personal anger, but at this moment, what I'm here to talk about is my family, not about, my personal feelings towards Israel.
But you mentioned genocide, so that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of genocide, I think that's just looking at the facts and how they shake out, especially with the South Africa case of genocide against Israel at the ICJ. And then just in terms of, my the foremost thing that I want right now is just to get my family out of Gaza. I want them to be safe. They want to be safe. And of course, it's a difficult decision for them to decide to leave Gaza. It is their home. It is where they have grown up and where they love and where they have been loved and where their family has been raised. But at the same time, you know, all of us have an instinct to put our lives first. So they do need to leave Gaza, and the U.S. does have a responsibility to protect its U.S. citizens abroad.
All right, Yasmeen Alaga, thanks for being with us this
Thank you.
morning.
Thank you.